you don't really have an option if you
True
need
that, no, you
something,
don't.
unless you want to drive 3 hours.
Hola, Camilo. Estás mutado, chico.
All right, now, ready here. How are you, Richard?
How are you?
I'm great. So excited to be with you today.
I'm glad we could make it work out. So I'm gonna just turn the camera so you can see my class.
Give me 1 second, please. I'm going to bring my earphones.
It looks like young and I feel like I'm in an Almodovar film.
We also have with us Paola Fajardo Hayward, Dr. Fajardo Hayward. And you can't see her picture, but you know her, right? How many of you have classes with her? I know, right? Like, why do you think I teach the things I teach, honey? And I have mellowed with age, okay? Perhaps you don't believe that.
There's a message in the chat.
She said hi. She said hi.
What's going on there?
So, Camilo, aquí estamos con la clase, ya puedes ver, yeah. And most of them actually do not speak Spanish, so we will do this in English. Go back. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have with us, yes, Camilo García.
Sí.
Was born in Colombian Coffee Triangle. Okay. And then several years ago, following a passion of getting to know people and a love for nature, he discovered that guiding foreigners and showing them around was a very enjoyable activity. And he's been doing that for 8 years. Discovering in the process the beauty and richness of his own country. Yes. In 2018, he had the great fortune of being a tour guide for the filmmakers of the movie Encanto, which you all watched. And he received a call from one of the directors of the movie informing him that they decided to name one character after him. Look at that. So it is like a movie, right? We're talking to a movie star right here. Has also studied biology and is passionate about bird watching. Yes? Okay. So, Camille, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be with you.
So tell us a little bit about your experience and what things you wanted to highlight for the Disney team.
Well, that happened in 2018. You know, I've been working I have been working in tourism several years before that, but just in the coffee region. It was like my first national trip. So my boss at the time called me and said that there was a very special group coming, that there was a famous person coming in that group that I couldn't tell anybody about that. And later I discovered that the people that were coming were the filmmakers of the movie Encanto, and that the famous character was Lin-Manuel Miranda. We have to keep it really secret, and that's what I did. So I kept the secret until 2021, that Jared Bush, called me, and I think he wanted me to tell everybody here in the coffee region, probably to generate some hype. And so I did, and it seems that now I'm a famous character here in the coffee region, which is very funny. that was an amazing tour. No, I love these guys. They're great human beings. Wherever we went, they were really pleased to help everybody, to ask what people needed, and to make everybody feel like friends and part of the team. So I felt like part of the team from day one. And well, we visited different regions of Colombia. We visited Barichara, which is in East Andes. We visited the coffee region, which is Central Andes. We visited Cartagena, Bogota. We also went to a Palenque, which is an area like a couple of hours inland of Cartagena, where a group of Maroons escaped in the 1600s, and that's perhaps the first independent town in the New World, since they escaped the Spanish slavery. They lived in, and that was a really cool experience. So no, that's basically it. It was so much fun. They were amazed and impressed to see how rich Colombia is in terms of culture, in terms of biodiversity, and it seemed that they loved it, and perhaps you could see it in the movie. Yeah.
What is it about the representation of geography and biodiversity in the film?
Excuse me, I don't hear well.
So what did you feel, how did you feel the film represented Colombian geography and biodiversity?
Well, it's really difficult to represent such a rich country in a movie, especially a movie that it's not the biodiversity in itself. Colombia is the second most biodiverse country in the world, if you didn't know this, after Brazil. But Brazil is 8 times larger than Colombia. So putting a lot of plants, animals, I don't know, the biodiversity in general in a movie that it's not about biodiversity, it's really complicated. But I think that they showed mammals, they showed birds, they show the forest, the wax palm, orchids, coffee, and I think they did a great job. I think they did a great job. Yeah. It's in the movie you see a lot of different things, and it's interesting because we saw all those things but in different places, right? And they combined everything in one same scenery, because actually the movie happens within the house and probably outside the house a little bit in the village, but yeah, it's interesting how they put everything in such a small place. Which is the house.
Or Camilo.
Excuse me?
I'm asking them I'm asking my students to ask you questions, and we have one. Yes.
Sure.
This is just a statement first. My little cousin is a huge Disney fan, and I was telling her about class and how you're coming to talk to us, and she asked me if I would take a picture of you. Now, I won't figured you would want to enjoy the little movie star moment. It was really cute. But what is your favorite piece of Colombian culture?
My favorite piece of Colombian culture. No, I think I'm not a person of favorite things. I like things in general, but what I like about Colombia, it's that there are many different cultures within a country that it's not that big nor that small. Colombia is a country the size of California and Texas together. And it's a country in which, 68 different languages are spoken. So it depends on where you go, right, you find different cultures. So what I like the most about Colombia is that, I drive, 4 hours and I'm in the Pacific. And when I go to the Pacific, I feel like I'm in Africa, right? That's where the African Colombians live, with their culture, with their costumes, with the tradition, with their way of cooking, right? But then if I move south 3 hours, I can be in another part of the mountains in Colombia and experience the life of different indigenous tribes, like the Colombianos, and when you go there, you feel like you're in a different country. Or if I go to the North Coast and visit Cartagena, Santa Marta, I can also feel like I'm in a different country, right? So Colombia is usually divided in 5 or 6 different biogeographical areas, right? I'm going to name them. We have the Pacific, no, we have the Amazon in southern Colombia. And it's interesting to know that Colombia has some part in the southern hemisphere, but it also, most of it is in the northern hemisphere. So in southern Colombia, there is the Amazon. The Amazon rainforest is what? Could be 1/4 of the territory. Then west of the Andes, we have west of the Amazon, we have the Andes, and the Andes is the same mountain range that comes from Argentina and Chile. But in southern Colombia, it splits in 3 different mountain ranges. If you go west of that place, west of the Andes, we have this Pacific forest that we call Chocó, biogeographical Chocó, which is also a completely different area with its own biodiversity and culture. If you move north of the Amazon and east of the Andes, we have savannas. We call that Orinoquia, flatlands that get flooded during the rainy season. Then there is the north coast of Colombia, where Cartagena, Santa Marta, Barranquilla, it's also located. So there's a whole variety of things to see, a lot of culture, a lot of biodiversity, and I don't have a favorite one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Paula, you have your hand up.
Hi, Camilo. Thank you so very much for coming to talk to our students. I guess I'm at home and the kids are running around, so we risk the danger. There you go. For them to show up. Thank you. So I guess that I love how you explain the students the variety of different places in Colombia. But one of the things that I noticed, not only the representation of the environment, the animals, the biodiversity, but our mannerisms. I thought, coming from Colombia, you see the movie and you see the pointing with the mouth. Yeah. I was curious how observant they were. What were the things that the team that came to see the things in Colombia, how were they reacting, or what were the things that they found more different or surprising that they use in the movie? If you could tell us. Thank you.
No, Paula, that's a really difficult question. I don't know, but when you see the movie, yes, you see a lot of different expressions like that you said, and that's the one you see Camilo doing. I think I do that a lot, and they saw it, people pointing with their mouths and moving the eyebrows in certain ways, and I don't really know. But what I realized that they are really good observants. They pay attention to a lot of details, and I was amazed to see so many Colombian things. They just came here for 14 days, right? And putting all those different details and mannerisms, as you said, after just spending 14 days in Colombia, for me, that's amazing. These are, well-trained people, and probably they're really good at that, at figuring
Yes,
out.
it's very impressive. Thank you, Camilo.
Very impressive, very impressive.
So we have a question in the chat. Were you pleased with how the movie portrayed Colombian people and culture? And do you think the movie was authentic in its representation?
Portrayed people in what? Excuse me.
Were you pleased with how the movie portrayed Colombian people and culture? And do you think it was authentic, the portrayal?
Yes, I'm pleased. I think it shows, beautiful and nice human beings. I think each person, each character in the movie, it has, of course, defects, but it also has, beautiful things to show. And and they show the nice people and nice things about people, but they also show the anger, the anxiety, the sadness, the selfishness, and we are that, right? We not only Colombians but human beings, have all those emotions, right? The good things, the bad things. And I think that each family has characters like that, right? For example, I think that Tia Pepa, it's my aunt. My aunt is extremely anxious, and she cries and she's happy the next minute. And I feel like it represented some people that I know. Yes. And I think that Mirabel's attitude, it's the attitude of a lot of young people in Colombia, right? That people are curious, they want to fix problems, they want to solve the problems of this country. I think in like deep, when you see like the problem that is that it's hatred, or not hatred, but that there is like unsolved relationship between Abuela and Mirabel, and that Abuela is probably judging people. I think that it has also something to be with the political and historical situation of Colombia. And the message of reconciliation, it's also something that you could understand when you study Colombian, recent history. So I think that Mirabel is that young, the average young Colombian that knows that there are so many problems to solve, and want to put their hand in it, right? Trying to understand what's going on and going after the solution. So I think, Colombian people and culture was well portrayed in the movie, for sure. Absolutely.
We have several more questions from students. Emma, do you want to?
No, I'll just get closer just in case. Speaking of culture and portrayal of Colombia in the movie, what did you think of the music in the movie? Did you think that it related well to how important music is to your culture? Did it capture Colombian music properly?
That I'm not sure. I think that the music, it's very Disney, I would say. Yes, not very Colombian, although you hear accordion and the tiples, but I expected the music to be different. Yes, I like the music and I know all the songs, the lyrics, but I think it's not that Colombian or traditional, to be honest. Yes.
Do you have a concern that people watching the movie will get like the wrong idea about Colombia because it's been kind of Disneyified, because Disney kind of watered it down?
No, actually, I'm glad that they show, that in the movie. I think they
Yeah.
portrayed Colombia in a really beautiful way, in a kind way, and it's really honest. They show the violence in some way. They show the when you see that, like, the townspeople, and how they are like interested in the family, but also how abuela like really cares about what others say. That's also really Colombia, But I think that's showing a positive way, showing Colombia in a positive way, showing animals, showing different cultures, showing different faces, ethnicities, and how all that can combine. I think it's beautiful, and I'm really grateful that they show it that way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question.
We have another question, yes?
Do you think they missed any part of Colombian culture that you wish they would have included?
Oh. That's a really difficult question. No, I don't know. I don't really know. Difficult question. Yeah. Next question, please.
Don't worry, we have more questions. Our aunt.
Do you know if any of the magical components like they use, like such as Bruno's visions or like the candle, is that like based on some like kind of like stories in Colombia, or is that just Disney like kind of elements?
No. It's actually here in the coffee region. It's a 15-minute drive from my house. They have these festivities, right? And they celebrate like the Candles Day, and that's a celebration to worship Virgin Mary. So every December, like every single block and neighborhood, right, gathers to decorate and to make like these lanterns with candles. And I think they use that as I think it's also combined with the Catholic tradition that it's also really strong in Colombia. Most people still consider themselves Catholic in this country. So I think they use that image or that symbology to probably to express or to show the faith, and perhaps a faith that might or might not be that strong. Who knows? But yes, it's part of the culture. I have to show you pictures. Probably I'm going to send you pictures after the class, so you see it. It's really beautiful.
Mylan, you had a question also, yes. You're gonna have to get closer, honey.
Right. I know you talked about like how like you've had like a career in tourism. So, and you're not a person that typically has favorites, but what are your go-to places to like, I guess, take people in Colombia that you feel really embrace the culture, highlights the culture?
Well, when I'm with people, the coffee region is my home. It's my hometown, my home region. So This is what I enjoy the most, showing people the coffee culture. Actually, we have a recognition by UNESCO, and this is called the Coffee Cultural Landscape, in which 56 different towns have the same architecture, the same tradition, the same way of speaking, and coffee was like the engine, right? That made this thing possible. But in the coffee region, there are also like natural areas, natural reserves. I love bird watching, so that's something that I also try to incorporate in my speech, because Colombia has more bird species than any other country on earth. So I like that. Besides that, the coffee region, it's also an agricultural region. We don't only grow coffee, but we grow cacao, chocolate. We grow banana, plantains, citrus, lots of avocados. There's a lot of bamboo, and bamboo forests are fantastic. So I like the coffee region, especially because you get to see many different things, and people like that. People like the variety and the diversity within a small region. So it's quite small, but that's when I guide, when I'm with foreigners, with tourists. When I'm by myself and I want to travel with some friends, I try to go to the Pacific in Colombia. Not far from here, the most important port in Colombia, it's in the Pacific, it's called Buenaventura. And right there, you take a boat and you could travel to the islands or to the beach. And that's a place that I love. The food there, it's so beautiful and it's so lush, and you see a lot of amazing birds. I also like the mountains very much. So in this coffee region, or in the Andes, you find low elevations and high elevations. So in this central range, the highest peak are 15,000 feet, 16,000 feet. There are snow-covered mountains, which are also volcanoes. I love going there. I feel like that's the most relaxing place on earth. But of course, going to Cartagena, it's a different experience. Cartagena has this historical center, this old town, and there are restaurants, and there are bars and discotheques, and people in Cartagena are very happy. You see joy everywhere. So I think I'm infected by the mundane and the fun and the joy of that city. What else? Barichara, which we also visited with the Disney group. It's a place that I love because in Barichara, you still feel like you are in a town that it's preserved in time. So when you go there, you can transport to a moment 200 years ago. So you still see people doing the traditional jobs. You see people weaving hats, or people brewing traditional alcoholic drinks, or you also see people like the stone cutters that break huge pieces of rocks into smaller pieces to build the houses and the paths, the roads. So, and there are many things still to be discovered in Colombia. Colombia was a place that 20 years ago, nobody, would come here, and even us were a little bit afraid of traveling because, we could be, there was a threat of being kidnapped or being, killed, who knows? So there are many places that I want to visit. Probably I could also, after the class, list some of the destinations, so you could Google them and see different beautiful areas of Colombia.
I would appreciate that.
Sure, sure.
Counting on you. I'm counting on you. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know that Paula has or organizes trips to Colombia with students.
Ah, sí.
Yes, we were trying, our idea, there's a professor in journalism, and we wanted to bring students from Canisius doing journalism or political science to visit Colombia, and we were scouting the place in 2019 in Bogota and thinking, well, maybe we go Bogota or Medellin or Bogota, Cali. And so we were just thinking in 2 weeks, something like that. And when we started, of course, getting interest, then COVID happened. So we will do it. That's something that we will. And I think that having the opportunity to tell the students that there's more to Colombia than just the typical is, as you can see among the students in the classroom, generating some interest, and they want to know more. And it's nice to hear, as Camilo was saying, that there's so many places now that you can go and see. Growing up, I remember trips to San Agustin, which is a village in El Huila, which is far away from the city. And of course, there were places you couldn't see, and they were marvelous and beautiful. So now I know that it's easier to go there, and I'm eager to just take students and show them the different places, because as Camilo was saying, we have snowy mountains, we have very humid areas, and so it's everything. There's a great diversity, and I agree, as Camilo was saying, there's so much that hasn't been discovered. There's so much to learn. Diversity, especially alternative ways of produce things to be environmentally friendly. And I think that's something that is promising in the country.
Amazing, yes. Welcome, Paola.
Thank you.
Oh, and Bogota, right? They close down all the streets for the ciclovia, no, every Sunday, isn't it?
Yes.
That's my favorite thing. They close down all the main streets in Bogota, and you can ride your bike all over the city. It's fantastic.
Camilo, you can tell them, because growing up, I thought that was something that every city did, but then no, I guess not.
Well, I think many cities copy the example of Bogota. I know that Pereira does it, Armenia does it as well. I don't know of other cities, but yes, and I know cycling is a big thing in Colombia. Huge thing, yes.
Camilo, we have another question from one of our participants in Mexico. And her question is, what was the most difficult thing to represent about Colombia in the movie?
Oh, well, I think to represent so much culture. I told you that there are 65 different languages and 68. Means that there are a lot of different cultures. And every corner of the country has its own populations of indigenous. So, how do you put that in a movie and in a family of, I don't know how many members does the family have, what, 15? So, yeah. And music as well, you have to choose, you have to pick 8 songs. And, there are rhythms, there are different dances in Colombia, and putting all that together in a movie that lasts 1 hour and 20 minutes, it's complicated. It's really homogeneous. That's what I would say. And that's probably the most difficult task, that the filmmakers had, to put so much information, so many different concepts, elements in 1.5 hour movie. Difficult. That's really difficult. Yeah. I don't know if I answered the question.
I think so. Do we have other questions from the students? Sarah?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we, if this was already said, but what was the name of the character that you were named after?
The name of the character? Camilo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but what your question is, which one was it?
Yeah.
Which character was Camilo in the movie?
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Shapeshifter, yes.
What does that say about you?
I think that I appear and disappear, constantly of the group. I was the tour guide in the coffee region, but I was the tour leader, during the whole trip. So in Cartagena, we had a tour guide. In Barichara, we had other tour guide. In Bogota, we had other tour guide. So actually my job in Barichara and in Cartagena was more of logistics, right? Trying to solve every problem or request. And of course, to support the other local guides. So I'm sure, I was absent at some times. I appear, reappear, and probably one day I was in good mood. Probably the other day I was in a different mood. Who knows? Probably they saw that, and that's why they put Camilo as the shapeshifter. Who knows? I don't know.
Like a chameleon. Camilo chameleon. Yeah. Do we have other questions from our group for Camilo? Really? Yes, Andrew.
It may be too soon to tell because the movie was released relatively recently, and with COVID, travel is kind of weird and difficult. But have you seen like an influx of travel at all due to this movie? Like people want to see like the beauty of the country at all? Or
Yes. Actually, the people that came in December, and actually I had this tour that it started January the 2nd and until January the 14th, right? And they came just because, they watched the movie. They thought that Colombia was an interesting place to visit. And I'm sure that's the case for many more tourists that, have come in. I think that Disney has a big audience, right? And I think that it's working. I think that the movie, it's helped Colombian or the perception of many travelers of Colombia have changed, and they're now wanting to come. Yes, I think so.
Do we have other questions? So when are y'all booking your flight?
Yeah, right?
I'm
I'm on my way.
Maybe we can, stop there on our way to or from Cuba.
Yes.
For example, yeah, okay. Camilo, you said you have children, right?
I do. I have a 10-year-old boy.
And has
His
he
name is Juan
watched?
Jose. He's watched the movie like 3 times, and he knows all the songs. Yes.
And so he likes it then.
Very much. We all love the movie. I think my parents, have watched the movie 5 or 6 times. They didn't have Disney Plus, and now they have the subscription.
Do we have any other questions for Camilo then? Oh, yes.
I'm kind of curious how many obnoxious American tourists you come into contact with giving out tours of Colombia. It doesn't look like you heard me.
How many what?
How many obnoxious American?
No, you know what?
Don't worry.
No. So, I think I'm politically correct, but I love Americans. I think you behave well, and you're nice people, nice culture. Uh, have nothing but I have nothing but to say about Americans and American culture. No.
Do we have any other questions? No? Well, thank you, Camilo, for the time that you gave us to talk to us about your experience tonight.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. I'm very glad you have interest in Colombia and Latin American culture. And trust me, you know, this is a beautiful place to visit. It's a safe country. There are colors, there is diversity. It's lush. People are really friendly, and you know, we welcome you in Colombia. So come and enjoy the destination. For sure, you'll love it.
Bueno, thank you, Camilo.
Thank you.
Very, very welcome. Thank you, you know, for having me.
And you're gonna send us the list and pictures, right, to send to them so that they'll come visit, right?
Of course, of course.
Bueno, okay, bueno.
Bye, Richard.
Steve,
See you.
okay?
Uh-huh.
Ciao.